Hello and welcome to the Rupeeting podcast. My name is Ayush and we are Chaitanya and Sagar on the panel today. It is 9:45 on a Saturday morning, which is quite odd for us to talk about this, but it is quite apt because the topic of it is quite related to boys waking up in the morning.
Maybe not sleeping early
And
in the
not
night. That is
Either.
exactly either way, yes. So the topic for today is related to quite a historic event that happened a couple of years ago, back in 2015, where I think the entire nation was saddened by the central government, central government launching uh, a very active campaign to ban a particular kind of digital content out there, and this is obviously pornography. So, adult content, as the legal term suggests, has officially been banned because of, I think, something that Chaitanya mentioned while we were backstage was children having
true.
access to all of this content and being influenced inappropriately because of so much availability of it, to the extent that they've, as of 2023 December, banned about 1,000 websites from 2015 December onwards, in the span of about 7 years. And these websites, as everyone, whether they like to admit or not, knows, you cut one off and three take its place. But there is still an active need or drive to shut these down so as to inhibit children from getting this access. So,
1,000 must have been shut down, but 3,000 new ones must have come.
But
As
even
we
if it
said,
was
it was just
1,000 new
one letter
ones,
they changed, and everything is again.
no,
exactly.
but like even Twitter's got so much porn. Abhi, what
Yeah.
website you'll
And no child is, I mean, like, obviously, if children are there, they're not going to press no, I'm not 18 plus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we all have been through that.
Everyone's been there. Sorry, government, but
Yeah.
you may have not caused any difference, but it did pave the way for kind of a unique industry to pop up. Because while overall digital content was moving towards the online space where people were not watching movies in theaters as much as they were watching it from the comfort of their homes via OTT, so was a
Comfort.
formalization of this particular adult content space and the need for it to be kind of sort of legalized. Then someone from UP obviously came in and decided that this is something that they want to do as a career. And just to give a little bit of a backstory, the person who did this, it's a husband and wife duo, and they've started with selling steel rebars and something that they made about like 5 crores of revenue doing. And now with the current business model, they make about 100 crores of revenue. So this is the company that's recently launched their IPO called the Ullu app.
Ullu.
And all those registering the name for later, you've definitely seen this come across your feed at some point, whether that's an Instagram ad or a Google ad or a Twitter ad. So yeah,
Or maybe
Ulu app,
intentionally you search for it.
or intentionally, exactly, yeah. But the discoverability aspect is definitely there. Most people know, or at least, yeah, most people in urban cities
At least
know.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, they've at least heard of it.
Ullu or
Yeah,
Ullu.
I actually don't know how to pronounce it. Bec-
it's
Doesn't matter
named
na.
after like an owl,
It,
right? Ayush or
Night
so
owl.
then
something.
it's so then it's
रात को
Ulu, right?
जागने वाला.
Like of
It is
emphasis
Ullu.
on the l, Ulu, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think in
I think
fact
you're
there's
very influenced by Lulu.
yeah, because my Middle Eastern Mallu heritage has to come kick in somewhere.
But it's Ullu. But if
Ullu.
you had to name a website like this, a soft porn website, what?
Mm.
If you had to name
What
it
would we
behind an animal, like a
hmm.
flora fauna name, what would it be?
Uh,
Other than
hmm.
Ullu, of course. Ullu makes sense, but yeah, still.
That's cool. I mean, I think it'll be a cat breed for a very obvious reason.
A rabbit maybe. I don't know.
Ooh.
Oh. Oh no, it can be named bunnies.
हाँ बट वो
For
प्लेबॉय क्या
sure.
सिमिलर हो जाता है ना फ्रॉम द लोगो.
Yeah.
Logo we can customize.
No, no,
But
but
yeah,
yeah, bunnies,
I have to think
rabbits,
of overall branding. It has to fit in the logo as well.
bunnies.
Okay, it's a useless question.
or a
We'll come back
hamster
to it later.
maybe.
A hamster.
Felinefervor.com.
There is a website, no, something on hamster. There is a porn website.
Yeah, yeah,
There
Hamster.
is. See.
Ex hamster.
xhamster.com.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. See?
Oh,
Chaitanya's
that's why
childhood
Chaitanya
memory
saw.
unlocked.
No, no, no. Maybe. I don't know. My subconscious mind must have
Subconscious
captured it.
knew.
Uh, so they've made it pretty clear by putting X. There is not a
Yeah,
hamster selling website.
so there is no
Yeah.
confusion.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, funny that like you said, right, the Ullu name makes sense. But initially, when the Agarwal couple decided to name it Ullu, the wife also didn't agree, and neither did most of the board of directors because they thought it had negative connotations, like you're calling the consumer an Ullu. Kapatta. Yeah,
They don't care na, as much as they're getting good content.
yeah, and for pretty cheap, right? I mean, cheap as in it's not free anymore, but for the kind of original curated content you're getting, they're paying about $500 a
Hmm.
year, which is crazy for an OTT.
No one does
And
a self discovery while, well, it's after the
yeah,
actually. Post nut clarity.
post-nut clarity. Post-nut clarity in this case results in renewal of the subscription, not
Yeah. So good job, Hulu.
Thank you, Ulu. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But the cost of production is also low only. Na? It's not like you're making a Game of Thrones.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
Uh,
writers also, I don't think they get paid much. But what is there
Writers
to
don't
write?
get paid anyway. I mean,
Uh,
like in this industry.
wherever it is.
Hmm.
So it's
yes,
just
so
that the focus on dialogues can be lower in this.
Yeah, yeah. Very
yeah.
intentionally, huh? But like the storylines are so crazy, right? So when we were reading through the DRHP and the kind of
I'm
content
sure
that they
you have gotten the storyline from somewhere else, but yeah, let's just say
let's just say we
you
undertook
got
some
it from the
research. It
DRHP.
was all for research purposes. And the DRHP told me, so they'd give titles like Mona Auntie Vapas Aa Gayi. And then there's like a synopsis like, oh, Mona Auntie went to the US and then she came back and she's got plastic surgery and like the kid is all
Oh,
like in his
Oh.
teenage. And they've written all this in the,
That
in
must
the
be a
DRHP.
second part ना वापस आ गई पहले गई भी होगी
हाँ
ना
पहले तो गई थी हाँ दैट वाज लो प्रोडक्शन अभी आईपीओ के बाद क्वालिटी प्रोडक्शन आएगा
plastic surgery.
प्लास्टिक सर्जरी इंक्लूडेड
This is a
yeah.
financial plastic surgery.
Website also the titles are pretty fascinating.
yeah
Yeah.
that's what right like I think that is what people
And the
lack
very
in
Indian
India
thing is there's a show called Devarji. Like
of
obvious.
course classic
Yeah.
so
Bhabhi and
the
Devar
most selling
is
So
exactly
some
the most
stereotype तो use हो गए होंगे. Now they must be out of
yeah
the titles, or they
the
must be
best
coming.
selling show on Ulu since its launch is this series called Kavita Bhavi.
Yeah. See, no
Kavita.
creativity there.
Was
The
changed.
Yeah
change has
because
to be the case.
that is different. This is a new
Yeah.
Bhavi altogether.
The change
This is
has to be the case.
inspiration from her only.
Inspiration from the OG Bhavi.
Nice.
But
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
coming back, it is titled as of now in the news headlines as the largest SME IPO ever seen in Indian history at 150 crores issue
Issue size, yeah.
issue size. Yeah, and of course, like this is just the DRHP phase. This could take anywhere from 2 months to
6
six
months
months
to
to
here.
next year. But if this does get through and comes on to people to actually apply for, it'll be an industry first, a country first for a country that's been so shy of looking at adult content, being ostracized for engaging in it, and now being actively involved in its financing operations. But yeah, it's been, I mean, despite all of that, India is still one of the top three largest consumers of adult content consistently for a decade, shifting between positions two and three. That's what she said. So,
Of
yeah,
course,
but
this one has to come.
one joke has to come. Yeah.
I-
But yeah, I
But it's
think,
also courtesy the population, no? Yeah, like
yeah, it's a matter of time. We'll be number one also in there.
yeah,
yeah,
because population number one, तो porn देखने वाले भी number one only. Like fine.
yeah.
Do you have a data of percentage in penetration? That is also, if we
Like
can get it. How much
Chaitanya,
penetration,
percentage of
yes.
population watches porn
Pun
compared to US,
intended.
China? Yeah, absolute number must be higher.
I think even
no,
penetration
but
will be higher
it's again
because
like this thing, right? You can't. probably track how much free content they're
Huh.
watching.
It's
Yeah,
Local.
too
exactly.
unorganized currently.
It is, yeah.
So like even like as a kid, like I don't know, like your age would have been different, but like we used to have these CDs that you get. Um, there was no internet porn.
Of
We'd
Yeah,
get
course.
yeah.
CDs, whatever. So we'd have this one vendor
Hmm.
near our house.
There's this different
Uh,
section of adult content there.
no,
Parde ke
no.
piche. That you're
One
talking
vendor,
about?
he would like sit outside his shop like with
Uh,
10 CDs, 15 CDs, like how you order drugs, right? Like that
hmm.
you had to order like
Oh, by the
porn.
way, we don't condone
Support.
ordering
Yeah, yeah.
drugs or porn, and none of this is financial advice either.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a two disclaimer this time.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'd
Uh,
call the guy, and then he would like ask on the phone what you want, right? Like, do you want like a storyline? Do you want foreign content or Indian content?
oh
Do
my
you do
God.
role
Then,
play? Yeah. Simple
हाँ,
play.
then like, do you want like airplane का नया वाला आया है, where the pilot and the hostesses are doing
क्या
it and stuff.
बात है.
Then he would tell like what's new in the collection, and then like we'd have to go and rent the CD out for like $50 or something like that for two
Oh, this
nights.
is CD rental, yeah.
Yeah, CD rental,
Yeah.
bro. And then
So
like
people
we'd
are
get the
sharing
CD.
this one CD.
Yeah, you're either sharing a CD or watching collectively.
Collective.
Oh gosh.
And
Wild childhood.
Circular movement of content or circle jerk only. There's no in between. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what that kind of era must have been. And like before, you was directly magazines or like radio porn.
Yeah,
yeah.
magazines more so.
Now, though,
But
like
after you get hooked to the videos, I don't think magazine will do justice. Once you start.
No, I mean that has a different fun, right? I mean, like lit erotica is so popular still, right? I
oh
mean,
yeah, yeah,
despite
people opt
uh,
for it.
True.
yeah,
It's
it has
about
its own.
different choices.
And that's the
Hmm.
best part, right? Now there's so much option available that whatever you want, it's there.
Yeah,
That's what she said. Yeah, enough of that.
But yeah, coming back, I mean, like, although this is all very hilarious and everything, the DRHP and like generally this company in the industry that it has technically opened on its own and kickstarted back in 2018 is something of a. It's not a small feat to have established
Yeah.
this company, considering the kind of taboo and sort of quote unquote sin good that this could be classified under. So let's just look at a few things that we've seen as observations.
Mm.
Firstly, I think since its launch in 2018, uh,
Mm.
up until now, while it didn't instantaneously become famous because of the taboo and the fact that you have to pay for it, in the pandemic is when it really picked up because I guess for obvious reasons
Okay.
everyone was chronically online, everyone was chronically turned on, and there was nothing better to do. So Ulu really shone across as like a savior of your time and money and effort.
Plus, there was a
And yeah,
motivation. Now we might die. Might as
yeah. So might as well get all this stuff done under your belt before you pass away. Yeah,
what will be the good habits do if we don't live?
that's true. But yeah, to corroborate that, I mean, although it was a low base of maybe 90,000 or something like that, it became about
Mm.
3x in terms of subscriber base, and it still remained in and around that range even up until now, like December 2023. So these kind of OTT platforms, we always see a fluctuation where in each quarter you might see 1 million, 2 million ka mota moti difference. But the fact that it's remained at that 3 million figure is a big deal. And 3 million paying subscribers.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
about 10, 12 million people who've downloaded the app since its launch. 3 million are paying, and there's like a little 1 or 2 million who are watching the free part of this website called Atrangi, which is also under the same thing. And under Atrangi, there's also like paid versions that people are paying for. So 3 million
But
is
the
just
actual people who watch it,
parallel
there
app.
will be so much higher because of the free content. It is all piracy and all those things.
right, right.
Atrangi is not the same. No, Atrangi is a
So
different
they,
app.
yeah, but they have collaborated with Atrangi. So when you go
No,
to
no, this is
Ulu,
the same. I mean, the guy owns
correct.
Atrangi as well
Yeah,
as this.
yeah, yeah.
Atrangi is
Oh,
more general content.
And
This
it's
is
free
more,
also.
yeah, and this is
Mm,
more like
more, yeah.
adult content.
Right, right.
Uh,
So Atrangi has
yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Atrangi became popular because of that guy. That that guy with the tikka on Instagram who used to sit in a
This
car and
guy.
abuse.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Of course.
he's started a show, a talk show, where people come and talk about their issues. It's obviously staged and scripted,
Yeah.
and it sounds really absurd because like you can clearly see that these guys are acting. They're really bad actors, and they're coming and talking about like their homophobia, or they're talking about like how he has a crush on his neighbor and it's right for him to have a crush on his neighbor, or stuff like that.
Randomly,
And
yeah.
this guy gets angry. He's like the angry man who sort of like has a moral compass, and he sort of starts getting angry and slapping these people and all of that, dude.
Oh
Like
God.
the show is
What?
all
I
it's
mean, I
called
get why people watch that. I'd appreciate an angry man slapping around an immoral person.
This. And the other name to fame for Atrangi was also they started dubbing Korean K-pop
Yeah, yeah,
into
correct, correct.
Oh,
Correct. So K drama to make it more Indian friendly, they've been
K-drama.
it's
Yeah.
dubbing
also
it
very growing population in India. That is also
as
that.
a
I think
content genre, right?
K-pop. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it has to be 100% YOY. Has to be
A lot of
because of the
children are
lowest.
watching. A lot of children
100%
are
why
watching.
can't I?
Yeah, yeah. It has to be.
But
It,
yeah,
it must be in three
a lot
digits.
of kids, a lot of
Ah,
kids are
no,
watching
but
K
you don't
drama.
know
Because
the. This is
We
another
don't know.
conversation. This is a mathematical conversation.
We
it
don't
was a
know the
guess,
growth
okay?
number.
Not
Yeah,
educated guess. Just guess.
it was an uneducated guess.
Unnecessary.
लड़ाई में पढ़ना ही नहीं है पहले हार मान गए
But yeah, while Atrangi, yes, as Sagar mentioned, it's a separate entity technically because it doesn't come under the adult content thing, and Ulu is a pure play adult content website. It still has a 3 million like subscriber base. Now, of course, this is like minuscule compared to let's say your Prime Video, which is at 20 million, your Netflix and Hotstar, which is between 65 and 70 million,
but they've
and then
been like in existence since very long now. So
yeah, and they are very diverse OTT platforms that
yeah,
like they provide so much more content as well. It'll be a 3, 4, 5x size of library also.
yeah, library, yeah.
But yeah, the fact that it even scratched the surface and
Hmm.
is only adult content is still commendable. And another interesting factoid that we've gotten from the research bits are that people who are downloading versus people who eventually convert as customers. For Ulu,
Hmm.
that's a larger conversion rate. So
Hmm.
60% is the kind of conversion rate we're seeing. In fact, it reached highs of 75% during that COVID boom. Whereas for your
Hmm.
Hotstars and your Prime videos, it's about 40 to 50% consistent since they've launched. So that's a pretty
Hmm.
big deal that the number of downloads versus number of subscribers for Hulu, because I guess the intention's clear, right? If you're downloading it, chances are more often than not that you're going to subscribe. That's why you download
But
it.
Because
also maybe because of
uh,
the low price. Nah.
no.
How
It's
much did
also
you say?
because the intent is clear, right? If you're
Intent is
downloading
clear.
Netflix and Hotstar, you
Hmm.
want entertainment, you might not find the content or you might
Yeah,
exhaust the content out. On
exactly.
Hmm.
this one, your intent is clear and you're getting exactly what you want.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
And you're getting newer content. Like there's like a weekly new episode or a weekly new movie coming out. So
Hmm.
it's something that was a very enticing proposition and hence the higher conversion rate.
Price,
And
I think, is just a function of who the target audience is.
yeah, yeah,
So Netflix, it is English content, it is modern content. So
correct.
you have a different target audience. This is, like the demographics you saw in the DRHP, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
user.
So, so the demographics, that's a good point actually. So initially when they're opened, in fact, the pricing was even lower than what it is right now. It was at 200 rupees a year,
Huh.
making it the cheapest OTT platform subscription price ever. Even
In the
Alt
world, it means.
Balaji, yeah, even Alt Balaji hasn't gone that low in terms of a penetrative pricing. Now Ulu is charging 500, but initially because it had priced it at that tier 200 rupees, the demographic shift was almost instantaneous towards the rural tier 2, tier 3 male population. And now, even after having hiked it to 500 rupees, it's a good 60, 40, 65, 35 split between men and women, most of them between the ages of their 20s and 30s, and
Hmm.
mainly from three states. So, UP, Maharashtra, Rajasthan. This makes
Right.
up for about 85-90% of the entire subscriber base in that 3 million. Then the rest of it is a mix of other states and foreign countries as well. So there's a lot of like Southeast Asian countries that have subscribed to Ulu. Yeah. So yeah, the demographic was a function of pricing and the type of content, and as you said, intent. It was abundantly clear why people were downloading the app and
But is
not
it
for
a premium content? Like they provide something for free and then,
not.
or it's completely paid?
So some of it might be free. There might be like a free trial system, but
Uh-huh.
It's a
after that, everything.
freemium model.
Yeah, it's a
Uh-huh.
premium
Premium.
model.
That's what I said.
It is freemium.
Premium.
Yeah, I mean
Right.
incentivizing happens, and then they urge you to pay,
Hmm.
and there's
Which
like
is in every
discounting and
OTT, right? There is
yeah,
some. I mean, everyone's on a freemium model.
right. Which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
what
yeah.
this is why it's being
No,
compared to
Netflix
an
is not, no.
OTT. What do you
It
mean?
They
would
don't
be, na?
offer anything.
Or at least the view into the content library should be free.
But it
Yeah, like all
isn't.
that. You can look at what is being offered. You
Yeah.
might not be able to view
Like
it.
access is free. Like there are
Yeah,
only very few apps which restrict access as well. Like the only app that I've come across
Huh.
is the Formula One TV app, which
yeah, which
uh,
just doesn't show you anything.
yeah, which you need to pay for access and then you need
Yeah,
to pay for watching.
viewing.
Uh,
Yeah,
Oh.
and that's actually almost more expensive than your Netflix and Prime, where Netflix and Prime may be charging 1,500 to $2,000 for an entire 365 days of viewing. F1
Hmm.
charges you more than $2,000 for a season of viewing, so that's about 70 plus races.
2.5 grand for
But
like
again,
a
as
year.
you said, Saga, earlier mentioned demographic, target
Yeah,
audience.
yeah, it's a very premium audience for
Yeah.
F1. So yeah, Ulu started off as a non-premium.
Hmm.
Got the 3 million thing, charges about $500. So it's since it is being compared to OTTs, it cannot be compared to Netflix and Prime because they are premium in nature.
Yeah, yeah.
So the
Definitely.
comparison is being drawn to someone like Alt Balaji, who
Hmm.
offer a similar pricing. They also charge about 300, $400 a year. They also have a section in their entire discography of content that allows you to watch adult content,
Correct. Hmm.
but they're not fully adult content. But that's the only listed player we can at least compare to because they
Compare
come
with.
under Ekta Kapoor's company, Balaji
Hmm.
Telefilms.
Old Balaji is actually in the middle of the two, right? Because it's got like the whole
Yeah,
Balaji content library to
right.
showcase. And
Yeah,
for newer acquisition, it's just targeting the
Hmm.
softish,
softish yeah, category. But yeah,
soft.
even in
That makes
size, Alt Balaji is actually because in fact, it's very interesting because Alt Balaji, because they're in that midway range of content pricing and everything, they've actually surpassed Prime Video in terms of number of subscribers. Whereas Prime Video is about 21 million, Alt Balaji is 35 million in paid subscribers.
Mm.
So that
Hmm.
strategies worked out for them, but I mean, like as will come later, that isn't enough to cut it in the OTT industry. So, but yeah, crazy penetration by Ulu to the
Hmm.
point that I think this is also something that we were discussing before the podcast began. How even the core actors and actresses that may have started off their journey as wanting to come to
Hmm.
Bombay to become Bollywood actors and actresses and then were
Celebrities.
forced to go into like this genre have now turned out to be crorepati's with one common name and again something that every viewer on this platform on this podcast will know is Anveshi Jain, the most googled woman during the pandemic in India. Someone who started off her journey on a couple of episodes and small time movies on Ulu and later got signed by Alt Balaji because obviously they were paying much more money and
Her
launched a
skills and
self.
intent.
Yeah, of course, like valuation of hers also matters. And she went from having
Dude,
seven, yeah, she went from having
that's
seventy
really funny.
thousand rupees in her account to now having more than 7 crores as her net worth. So 100x just in the
Yeah.
span of like 2021 to 2023. So that's crazy.
Multivaggers.
Multi-bagger. That's a great joke. That's a great joke. This has to make it in the reel. Oh God. But yeah, that's about the business. That's about what they've accomplished in terms of their presence. But
will
how is
grow.
that translated into numbers? Sorry?
The industry will grow at least at 20% above.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like much like other industries, maybe
Hmm.
this is something that is consistently going to always grow because, as
Hmm.
everyone likes to use the buzzword, right? India's population is a youthful
Yeah.
one. Its median
It's
age is
not only the
almost a
rise
year.
of an affluent India, it's also the rise of a naughty India
Young
only.
India. Yeah, yeah, quite a naughty India indeed.
But this will also have to go through like fragmentation, right? Because like what's appealing to say an average man in Nagpur or Rajasthan ka some village or
Yeah,
UP, right? You said
you.
so whichever city there is probably not what is going to be appealing to a guy sitting out of Nepensi Road.
Hmm.
So like because
Of
there's such a
course.
cultural difference in
Hmm.
terms of what you like. So although like that naughty India theory works, you will see like a lot of fragmentation in the industry where there
Yeah,
is content which is more
Hmm.
suited to demographics and socio-economic plus cultural
background.
spectrums.
Yeah,
But on
Yeah.
that front, I think it's good for Ullu because the rural population is definitely much, much higher than the urban one.
No,
So
that's not.
that will
You
not.
can't make that blanket statement, right? Because like for premium content, the pricing will also be premium. So the economics might just work out on a lower base, also in a much better way. So absolute profit numbers for a premium player can be much larger than the
Margins will
absolute.
be much higher. Then.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
yeah,
But again,
and
it's
I mean,
like a DMart kind of business. It's a 3-4% margins, but so many people will buy.
in
So
fact,
Buy.
absolute
on the
profit is
contrary,
between
right?
DMart and
Yeah,
Zara, right? DMart and
yeah.
Zara,
Right.
if you compare the
True.
numbers.
Yeah.
In fact, on the contrary, because of the way Ulu has performed, it's not low
Hmm.
margins at all because they've hit it out of the park in terms of
Yeah.
being termed an OTT platform, yet having
Hmm.
achieved the kind of financial success that they have. So if we had to take a look at the number,
Yeah.
FY21 May, they had about 27-30 crores of revenue. Now they've almost touched 100 crores in revenue in FY23, which is insane kind of growth, 3x in 2 years.
Three.
For revenue, EBITDA margins went from 11% to 25%.
Oh,
They're the
see.
only OTT platform in the country to have reached profitability this quick. Whereas Alt
This
Balaji
way.
is still struggling to be EBITDA positive after having launched only a year prior to Ulu. They're
Hmm.
bleeding money. They're taking money on from Balaji Telefilms to sustain operations. Whereas Ulu
Hmm.
is self-sustaining ecosystem because of the way that they've priced not just the product but the production
Yeah.
and all of it that comes with it. Because so their business model works in such a way where they've outsourced shooting, filming, hiring, everything
Hmm.
to the part, and they only use money to buy the licensing and buying the film later. So they've really reduced their cost at the end. They have a very small inventory of equipments like your lights and mics and cameras and all of
Kind
that.
of an asset-like business in this.
Very asset-light business. In
Yeah.
fact, they've even, because of like potential legal issues, they've even moved their headquarters out of India to Brisbane, so that
Oh,
that issue is also sorted off.
Brisbane,
So
right?
yeah. So they've done very conscious decisions to ensure that they are termed a very successful OTT platform and termed a very
Hmm.
successful adult content platform simultaneously. So that's very
धंधा आता है
interesting to
लेकिन
look
हाँ.
at. धंधा तो आता है. These, I mean,
Hmm.
Vibhu Agarwal,
Still
right?
business कहीं तो काम में आया.
Yeah, yeah. And he was in multiple things before also. So even Ulu, right? It's not just
Hmm.
content. There is a
Yeah.
larger entity called Ulu 99, which sells men's underwear, sexual
Oh,
products, merch for Ulu
so it's a
content.
subsidiary of this company only, no?
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
so
No, that may
when
not be. Yeah, sorry.
I don't know about ownership, but
हाँ.
they are sister
It's
companies
a
of theirs.
related company,
Yeah,
It's
subsidiary, but
related. Yeah.
yeah. So there's a lot of cross selling that happens there with Ulu 99 and Ulu content.
Yeah.
So they've really capitalized on the fact that if someone's willing to pay 500 bucks a year for content, they might be willing to shell out a little more to buy something else also randomly here and
Hmm. उसको उल्लू बनाने में कोई हर्ज नहीं है.
there. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Hmm. So the question remains: the earnings is much, so then why IPO, right? Hmm.
For
why
some
don't
of
you
the
answer
reasons,
your
yeah.
question?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, answer your own question.
Yeah, yeah. That was the intention. Thank you for pointing out the thing. So, but as you mentioned that they are in this category for a while now. So they of course have their own aspiration. So they also want to expand, and not in terms of quality, but also how not enough of quantity, but also how quality.
Right.
So they are using these funds to for hiring, maybe of course, to create more Anveshi Jains in this country, maybe, and
Yeah.
of course the facilities and state of the art equipments and whatnots. So
Yeah.
this 150 crore will be most third of it will be used for working capital requirements. Some of it also in the production of new content, also international, also they are entering into. So
Yeah.
they'll purchase international shows. This will be more like on this is a streaming platform thing. It won't be a production, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the guy who the husband wife duo, Vibhu
Mhm.
Agrawal, he intends to triple or two times, I want to twice or thrice the budget of the shows and movie to break the so-called conception that the saga was just talking about, the something which might not appeal to the different guy, cultural guy.
Yeah.
So that he wants to appeal, reach to. Also to bring in new clientele and provide incentive for existing subscriber to more time around, stick
Yeah.
around. So yeah, so that is pretty much it as of now. As we will go further, so
Yeah.
the more information
So
come as the IPO comes closer.
yeah. So yeah,
Mm.
premiumization of content, improvement in overall like ability to spend money as
Yeah,
another OTT platform would be able to, which
yeah.
that kind of purchasing power they may not have had earlier. Where
Mm.
although they're raising 150 odd crores, they also
Yeah.
have 120 crores in about cash balance uh,
Mm.
left with them. So
Mm.
this cumulative 270, almost 300 crores
It will
is
give them a biggest push
quite
forward.
the huge boost, and they're expecting 2024, 25, and 26 to be real game changers in how the
Mm.
website looks, what kind of content is being offered, uh,
Yeah,
diversity in terms of nationality of content, and
yeah.
eventually, so while they will improve the adult content business and that will be their core offering, they will
Mm.
start offering side shows that aren't adult in nature.
Adult.
They may be
Or,
soft, they may not be completely like quote unquote soft porn, but there will be some kind of diversity in the kind
mm.
of offering that they'll possess. And of course,
Mm.
as Sagar said, that will also result in a function of subscription amount, uh, there
Yeah.
being a premium layer of subscription amount being available,
Mm.
so as to attract that higher urban audience. So the perception change is mainly what this IPO is for, and it's done a
Yeah.
great job because
You
everyone's
should also
talking
look
about
at
it.
this, right?
Yeah,
Like rather than looking at margins and stuff like that for a business
yeah,
like this, and especially when you're close to an IPO, if they have like 150 crores they're raising, what is the return on that money that they have been able to generate in the past? So
hmm,
the ROC typically, which was a very
yeah,
striking number, has been 90%.
yeah,
Um,
Mm.
so rather than looking at what can be in terms of revenue growth or margins,
right,
the easier way to look at it is that 150 crores, what kind of returns can you expect out of this being utilized?
right,
Assuming it's utilized in a manner that is concurrent to what was in the past. If it's different, obviously the ROCs will change.
yeah.
It can be dilutive or accretive, but that's a good indicative number of the kind of returns that investment will make. And
So
ROC, because again, this is a working capital heavy business, right?
Yeah.
This is something where 150 crores is also being utilized for working capital. So
yeah,
hence
Mm.
ROC sort of makes sense
correct.
as a metric.
And the ROC metric is actually grown. So while we only have data available to view from FY21, certain publications and Vibhu Agarwal himself mentioned that they started off at like a 85% ROC, and they've improved
Yeah.
their ability to utilize funds to the extent of now being about 90-95%, which is
Yeah.
Mm.
unheard of numbers, as you mentioned. It's crazy accidental entry into a business because Vibhu Agarwal initially had an extreme failure in entering the movie space. He produced a movie that really no one watched, that failed in
Hmm.
the box office, and then he realized that OTT is like the next best thing, and that's the only way to go. And now it's IPOing in within 5 years of its launch.
So you can either
Yeah.
subscribe to the IPO or subscribe to Ullu.
Neither of
Yeah.
which we are suggesting at all.
Yeah.
Neither.
Mm.
But very, very cool, interesting,
Interesting business
breath
as
of
well.
fresh air IPO that's come out last week. But
Yeah.
everyone's not, I think not enough people are like, I don't know if it has Dalal Street lost its humor because not a lot of people are talking about it. Not enough.
SME board as well, right? I think the IPOs on the main board go more
Yeah.
noticed talked about
True.
rather than SME.
That's true.
Because the minimum ticket size will also be higher and there will
Huh,
be
you'll have
very few.
lots to buy, not
Right.
individual
Yeah.
shares to subscribe.
Right.
Very interesting.
Was studying.
So yeah, that was the
Yeah.
topic for this week. A very interesting business
Mm.
model, very interesting development in the Indian markets that could potentially disrupt the way we look at companies like this,
Yep.
and might just be an investable opportunity for people who have that kind of funds lying around and don't or aren't bothered by the perception behind what they're investing in, rather focus on the fact that this money could just be quote
Mm.
unquote multi-bagger, as Chaitanya mentioned, over the course. So,
Yep.
yeah, thank you for sticking around and tune in with us next week as we take up yet another interesting topic. And until then,
Mhm.
thank you so much for watching. And that's a wrap.
Bye.